Ali, my video reviews about Black Cat are popular. My last few videos about Saberclaw have been surprisingly popular. Well, here is one where Black Cat beats up Saberclaw, and I just gave away the ending. This is Spectator Spider-Man 119. This is written by David Peter with art by Rich Fulcher. And there is Spider-Man wearing his black costume. But this is not the symbiote. This is just a black cloth costume. He wore the black costume in loads of comics, but only a very small percentage of them were actually the Venom symbiote. He got rid of that fairly quickly, and after that, he kept wearing a black costume because it's a good design. And in this, Spider-Man has gotten back with Mary James. Mary James revealed that she knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And now that it is out in the open, she is struggling to actually deal with the fact that Peter Parker is really Spider-Man. Our bad guy is Saberclaw, and this is before Saberclaw was brought across to the Excellent Men books. And there are tiny elements of this that maybe didn't quite jibe with where the character goes. His healing factor, for example, isn't what it will become. But he has always been an animalistic, wanton murderer. He is a psychopath in this, and he kills indiscriminately. You can see his face is messed up. This is from a fight he had with Spider-Man a few issues earlier. If this was current day Saberclaw, this would have healed over by now. The stuff with Mary James is well done, though she does start come off as a bit of a jealous bee by the end of it. And the B stands for biscuit. In fact, we start that now because Peter Parker finds some odd photographs that he took of his best girlfriend, Black Cat Felicity. And Mary James is nice, but she is not Felicity. I love Felicity, and Mary James is really nasty and mean about my Felicity, so that makes me not like her. Then we have the star herself, Black Cat, and she is wearing a cool leather jacket with gold-plated shoulder bits. And it's just a shame that the rest of her costume and her hair is terrible. And honestly, she steals the show, as she often does. She isn't over Spider-Man and is struggling to come to terms with the dissolution of their relationship. She is in a lot of pain about it. She is really hurt, and she really did love him. Saberclaw, he is out for revenge now, and he is using his super sensors to track down Spider-Man. And again, that is something that is nice to see. Another part of Saberclaw's character that was always there from the get-go, his tracking ability and his animal sensors. So Spider-Man and Mary James, They have a house party because Mary James is being selfish and trying to distract herself. I do like Mary James, but if you put her in an issue with Felicity, Felicity is always going to be the love interest I root for. The worst thing about this issue, which is overall pretty good, the worst thing is that David Peter keeps mentioning and bringing attention to his new bad guy, his new pet character, the Foreigner, who is terrible. And Saberclaw, he is doing all this to try and impress this nobody baddie. And that is the biggest problem with this early appearance of Saberclaw. I didn't believe Saberclaw would ever strive to impress someone, let alone a total overwritten loser who is meant to be a master villain like the Foreigner. Also, David Peter, he wanted to reveal that the Foreigner was who the Hobgobbler was. On the topic of orange goblins, here is Larry Osborne cosplaying as Donald Chump. They are talking about some recent plot lines and developments, and there was a lot of stuff going on in the Spider-Man books at this time, but not a lot of it was very good. After Roy Sternman stopped writing, the editorial reins of the Spider-Man books were given to Topher Pruitt, and he did just about everything possible to make the books as bad as they could be. Even when you have decent writers like David Peter here, or Tom Falcon on Amazing Spider-Man, Topher Pruitt would screw with their plots, or he would go on and write his own little stories, and famously he would botch every possible mystery with his own unsatisfying conclusions rather than the intended ones. And it made this whole period sadly unreadable a lot. So Saberclaw tracks Spider-Man down to his apartment, and he starts raising hell to try and draw Spider-Man out, which presents a problem because Peter Parker is in the middle of a house party and he cannot leave because Mary James is being a total nag. Let's hope another love interest can show up and save the day. Felicity arrives and she fights Saberclaw, and it is a really solid fight. Some people point to it and say it is like the wrong side wins. But if you complain about Felicity winning a fight, kiss my grits. I think that the script is super clunky and not very flattering to Mary James, just to get Spider-Man to not be involved in the fight. But as a Black Cat stan, I'm fine with that. And it isn't a clean victory either. Saberclaw bites her ankle and wounds her, and she wins by battering Saberclaw's head repeatedly into the ground. And afterwards we have the best thing ever. Felicity spies Spider-Man on top of his apartment, and she just winks at him. Lovely Felicity. Emma Frosty's might be my dream woman, but Felicity is like the girl next door who I have always loved and would do anything for. Love her. Then we end on a clanger, because this is a Spider-Man book edited by Topher Proust. I would recommend just not reading this page. Turns out that everything you have read, it is all a master ploy by the super dullard, the foreigner. And he is so amazing that Felicity loves him even more than Spider-Man. And she is going to betray Spider-Man's trust because she loves the foreigner more. And it was all a sham, and this isn't canon. I don't care, it's not canon. Doesn't count. In the end, Topher Proust gets fired after bungling the Hobgoblin mystery hard, and David Peter has it revealed that Felicity was actually scamming the foreigner, and she never stopped loving Spider-Man. And just didn't read that last page. Get a copy like this, tear that last page out. It's depressing. Other than that, this is now a really good issue. Without that last page, it is a great issue showing Felicity is still a fantastic character, even after her and Spider-Man have been broken up. I think I will rate it something like a 7 thumbs up.